Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you some basic coding tricks for C++, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to visualstudio.com and download the Express version 2015. You can go ahead and get the community version if you want, but I feel like that has a lot of extra stuff that you're going to download that you're probably never going to use. So you want to get the lightweight version, then get the Express version for free. And then once you download that, you'll open the application. It'll look sort of like this. So we'll go to File and go to New Project. So we're going to set up a new project. We're going to go to Visual C++, and then we're going to do an empty project. And I'm going to leave mine as Project 1. So we're just going to go ahead and click that. And then it's going to look pretty much the same on the screen, but over here you notice that now we have a solution called Project 1. And from there, we're now going to right-click. We're going to go to Add, and then we're going to go New Item. And this is where we're going to add a new item. So we have header files and we have C++ files. And so the difference between these two is the header file defines what the structure of the code or the classes is going to look like, and then the C++ file is where the implementation, the actual calculations and whatnot are done. So we're going to create a C++ file, and we are going to label it main, and then we're going to click add. So now we have a file over here called main.cpp, and then we'll go over here to the file actually. So this is our file screen, and this is sort of our browser for the files. First thing we need to do is we need to create the main function. So we'll do that here. And you can sort of ignore what these parameters or arguments are at the top here of the function because it's really not relevant to the beginning of your learning. Later you can go back and look into those and figure out what those are for and how you can use those, but just for the basics you don't really need that. So we have our main function here, and so when the program starts, this is where it will start. It will start in the main function. So let's say we want to just do some basic output. So since we're going to try to output something, we need to include the IO stream, which stands for input-output stream. So we'll do it like that. And so once we have that, we can now use the cout command to send out something to the command prompt. So let's say we want to send out hello world. So we'll do that. We'll go up here to build, and we'll click build solution. The hotkey for that is F7, so we could also do that. So we've now built our solution. It was successful, no errors. And so now we can click local Windows debugger, and this will run the program, and then we'll see how it runs and if there's errors or not. So we'll go ahead and click that, and it ran, but it immediately terminated. So what did we do wrong? What we did wrong is we need to actually pause before we end the program. Before we terminate the program, we actually want to pause and look and see what we've actually printed to the command prompt. So we can go up here and build the solution again because we changed some code. We'll hit local Windows debugger, and you can see now we have this C prompt here. And it says hello world, and it says press any key to continue. So that was our pause. So we press any key, and then it terminates. So that's what this command here does. It tells the system we want to pause, and then if any key is hit, it will go ahead and continue whatever it is the next code, and the next code is nothing, so it terminates. So now we have hello world, but if you notice, the pause output is on the same line as the hello world, and we don't want that. So we want that to be a little bit tidier. So we'll send another command, which is called the inline command. We do an std : inline ndl, and then we'll run the solution again. And now you can see we have hello world on one line, and then the press any key to continue on the next line. So far we've learned two simple commands for the input and output stream. There's the cout, which that outputs something to the C prompt, and then there's also the inline, which gives you a new line so that you can put stuff on the second line. So if we wanted to add another line here, okay, hello there. So we'll say hello world, and then we'll come back and say hello there, a new line. So there we go. Hello world, hello there, and then press any key to continue. So we'll do that. So that's just very basic stuff. So we can also bring in variables if we want. So if I want to define a float value, 2 float values, let's say, or 3, let's define x, y, and r. So let's calculate the length of something based on its x and y values. So we'll say, we'll keep that there, but then we'll also now do the cin command, which this now takes in a value from the user and stores it in a variable that you've already defined. So I define this float x, y, and r, and now I'm gonna ask the user, okay, now give me a float value. Do that with the standard cin command. Before I do that, though, I should probably let the user know that I'm expecting some input. So what is x? So I'll ask the user, what is x? I'll do a new line, and then I'll get the x value from the user. And then I'll copy all that, and I'll ask them once again, what is y? So now that I have x and y, I can define what r is. R is going to be the square root of x times x plus y times y. Also want to come up here and go ahead and include the math library as well, so that I can use additional math functions and trigonomic functions if I wanted to. Right now I'm just using the square root function. So I ask the user for x and y, and then I calculate r, and then I probably want to tell them what the result is of the calculation. So I'll say that r equal to, and then I will add r here, standard, add a new line. So, done all that, we'll compile, no errors. We'll run the program. It says, hello world, hello there, what is x? So I'm going to tell it that x is 3 and y is 4. And so the output should be 5, which it is. R is equal to 5. Okay, so press any key to continue, and that will terminate the process because there's nothing else after the system pause that we have there. So that's all great, but the trick that I'm actually going to do in this video is something that's just not even related to C++ code, actually. It's Windows code. And so we're going to go ahead and include the Windows so we can actually use something from Windows. So we have that command prompt. I'll run it again. We have this command prompt, and it always pops up right here. And we can always, output stuff to it and do a bunch of calculations by getting input from the user and continue to do that. But what if we want the console to pop up somewhere else on the screen? We don't want to just always have it over here. Let's say we have multiple consoles or something like that, and we want to move it somewhere else. Well, that's what today's video and the trick is all about. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and clear what we already have here, this basic stuff. And then we'll begin by writing another function. So let's write a function called prompt. And prompt doesn't take anything in for arguments. So what this prompt is going to do is it's going to take the Windows handle for the window, and we're actually going to get that value. The first thing we can do is we can say, I want to get the console window. I want to get its handle. I'm going to store it in this handle window variable. And then if the window handle is equal to null, then we have a problem. That means that we couldn't find the window, or Windows couldn't find the window. It couldn't get its handle and send it to us. So there's a problem. So then we're going to cout. So we're going to write to the command prompt, and we're going to say, oh, we got a Windows error. couldn't get console window handle. And then we'll add a new line, just so that everything's nice and clean. And then we're going to do our system pause, because we want to give the user a moment to react to that, and then we're going to return 0. So if the handle is null, so if it doesn't exist, then we're going to write out a little error code to the user. We're going to let them react, and then we're going to return 0, which this will jump back up to here, and it will remove the function from the call stack, and then you'll be back in this main function over here when we write the call for the function. So you'll see a little bit more what I'm talking about there in a minute. So then what if the Windows handle is not null? Then that means we have the actual window. So then we're going to call another function. We're going to call move window, and we're going to send into move window a couple variables here. We're going to send in the handle. So if we're going to move the window, we need to tell Windows what window we want to move. So we got to give it the handle of the window. So we do that. And then we can now set the coordinates of the window as well as the width and the height of the window. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's do zeros for the coordinates, and then for the widths, let's say 400 by 400. I guess these don't need to be float values; these are ints. So go ahead and remove those here. Back, and then repaint. Yes, we want to repaint, which basically means we want to update the window on the screen, so we need to repaint it into its new position. So we'll do that, and then we'll return 1. So basically this function, it'll go in here, it'll try to get a handle of the window, and then it either has 2 results. It's either going to be 0 or it's going to be 1. So then we're going to go back to our main function where we start. We're going to call this other function prompt. So now when we start our program initially, it'll come into the main function, and then it'll do this if statement, and it'll call prompt, and then prompt returns one of these 2 values. So if it returns 0, then we're gonna return 0, and so 0 basically terminates the program. So if we call the prompt function and we can't get the console window's handle, then it's going to return 0. We're going to tell the user and pause for them, and then we're going to return, and then it's going to exit the program. So basically, if we can't get the window to move it or whatever, then there was a major error, and we just want to shut the program down anyway. And if that doesn't happen, then we want to do stuff. So now we can sort of build this and see what the result is. Compiles, no errors. So we do this, and I told it I wanted to position it at 0, 0 with the width of 400 and a height of 400. And you can see the screen is actually that size now. Before it was much bigger, and 0, 0 is the top left corner. So now let's play with the values here. So let's say we move it over 400 on the X coordinate. We run it again, and now it's over here. So we can see this will let us position it exactly where we want. We can make it bigger, so let's say we want to make it some screen resolution, 1366 by 768, and then we can do it like that. So I positioned it 400 from the top left corner on both axes, and that put it right down here. So maybe I want to bring it up to, let's say I want to shift it over 100, but I want to only drop it 50. Run it again, and here we go. So that allows you, with just a very small function, and then just one call, basically, just moving the function and passing in the handle for the window, that's just a real quick trick to move your console around if you want to do that. So